stock radio in this Corolla went bad. In this video we're going to replace it with a Boss modern head unit. These nylon pry tools are handy to remove the trim moldings. There are two of them on this car that allow us to access the bolts that hold the radio in place. There are upper and lower trim strips. You really only have to remove the upper ones to get at the radio, but it wouldn't hurt if you want to take the lower ones off as well. Those two screws on each side look like 10mm. Use a 1/4 inch drive, maybe a 6-inch extension. That is correct, 10mm. You're going to get it best with a 1/4 drive, so take those 4 out. Okay, and just squeeze, pull these out. Okay, here's the head unit. It does come with a backup camera. And we're going to use this American International mounting kit and this basic Metro wiring kit. But first, we're going to put in the included Boss backup camera kit. I've done the wire before on this vehicle from front to back, so I'll throw up a link on a good route for that. But I will kind of show the procedure here for running the wire from the license plate to the trunk, through the trunk, and to the rear, to the backup light. All that wiring is done. Okay, we're going to enter through this small gap here where the license plate light is. So we're going to have to lift that plastic cover there up and out of the way. To get that cover out of the way, we have to remove 3 10mm nuts from some studs, those 3, and then loosen 3 others. Then we can access it, and we're going to go in through this panel fastener here, so we'll take that out and enter there. So be careful not to drop these underneath. Just a couple of them on this side. I would loosen the ones over here just a little bit less. There's the ones for the lock here, because you really only need to kind of cock this. Now we can lift the side all the way up, because we're going to go in through this hole right here. We're going to remove the panel fastener, and we're going to slip our wire through there. Okay, now with this little panel back down, I don't know if you can see in there, but there's a little gap, maybe 3/8 of an inch. That's going to allow our cable to come up through there, go down through there, without getting crimped. It's going to take a 1/2 inch hole plus to fit these connectors through. So we'll drill 1/2 inch and enlarge it slightly. So I'm both cleaning up the 1/2 inch hole and enlarging it slightly right now. And once that's through, we can pass the red one through there. You can see that. You cut the wires when you want to change those modes. Try not to catch those on anything. It's going to pass through like that. So we're just going to put some electrical tape from about right here to here to protect the wire from this metal. I've done a few of these backup cameras, and I like this mounting plate that goes behind the license. Very easy and clean install. Okay, so we got some protection for the wire. Let's see from the inside. Now we can put this back together. Put the screws back in. Not too tight on these. Now the video cable that runs through the car from the front that we've already put in can be connected to the camera. There are two wires on the black power cable. Red goes to the 12 volts reverse, 12 volt reverse signal that you can see there on the red wire for the plug for the light. The black goes to ground. Now you could put it on the black wire right alongside of the red. I prefer to put it on a ground, an actual car auto ground, which is right there is a good ground. So I have to remove some of the black outer casing. That red wire that travels from the front also has to go to the 12 volt backup light. I'm going to solder in another section of wire to reach that backup light direct. You could also splice it into that red power cable further along. And I stripped that outer cover back a couple of feet. Oh, there's our ground. So I extended this red wire that carries the 12 to the front of the car. So we're going to strip some of the insulation off that backup power wire and just solder all three wires together. And there all the wires are together at the backup light. Just wrap them up good with tape. And we'll just clean this all up and tuck it away. Okay, we have the head unit, wiring harness, very nicely labeled, a microphone, some kind of generic mounting brackets we won't use, a manual, and there's the camera inputs, capable of taking on a front and a rear camera. Okay, now let's look what's in the mounting unit. There's the head unit mount, and there are the side mounts. There's several other pieces in here. This is for a single DIN, which we aren't going to use, and the manual. Our unit's a double DIN, so we don't need that middle piece, which is for a single DIN. So out it goes. Just clip it off. Sand it down if you want. On this side, these tabs have to come off with the double DIN right here, so I'll just cut that off. Alright, it's got to go on that side of the pin there. And then we have the left side, so just repeat on the other side. There's little guides in here. Got to slip it under that little, there. On this side you have the same issue. There, that's it. They tell you to put screws in here, attach this with screws. Where? They show nothing in a diagram about how to do that. Okay, so it's not going to fit right in the bezel that it came with. So we're going to take this one off. And snap it. Okay, once that's in there, then you just have to snap this in. It is a snug fit, so there's a little playing around to be done with it. With one end in like this, then you've got to just kind of bend these two tabs in and down like that. There. The brackets it came with aren't going to help us. We're going to use these screws now to just put them in. See the holes where they line up here? One down here, So the holes don't quite line up with those plastic side plates. They need to be trimmed a little bit. I used an exacto knife just to round them out a little. Just a little bit loose at first. I had to pare just a little bit of material off on this lower screw out of the plastic in order to get it to fit. We're using a basic Metro wiring kit with 2 plugs. The larger plug has the power wires, yellow, red, and black. The smaller plug has the rear speakers. And we'll be using these 2-piece screw-in type connectors. And all the wires on our Boss are labeled. Constant 12, accessory 12, ground. They're all nicely labeled and they all match in color too, so this will be simple. Okay, so get them 3/8 to 1/2 inch, twist them. This piece goes on. And there's the ground. So we got our 3 power leads done. Now it's all speakers. They're all the same color, which really helps. I've not used these kind of connectors before. They're pretty easy to use. And now we just have the smaller rear speaker plug left to do. The plus wires are always the solid ones. The striped ones are always the negative. And finally the right rear negative, the last one. Takes all of about 10 minutes to wire this. Make note, there's a purple with a white stripe in here. That's the camera reverse signal coming in. The red wire from the camera cable is going to connect up here. Make sure to cut off and tape off any wires on either harness that you aren't using. Such as here's illumination input, there's an antenna, parking brake we're not going to use. So just cut them off, tape them off. Okay, now we brought out this little gadget box that sits underneath the temperature controls because we need to cut a hole in it in order to fit these 2 USB cables through, as well as a microphone. Using the end of the USB plug as a guide, I'm making this slot no larger than it has to be in order to pass through 2 USB cables and a mic. The microphone goes through from the inside. So before we put this in, we'll feed the microphone through here. Just enough to get it to the unit here. Put a plug in here. We'll do this after we install it. Then we'll just wind the rest of this up down inside here. Plenty awkward, but these cables are long enough that we're able to reach them underneath from the radio over here, which is sitting on the car seat back through. So we're going to feed them in here. We already have the microphone cable in there, so we'll get everything in there. And don't forget to plug it in. And I've got it upside down. Don't forget to plug it in there and slip it in here. There they are. You can see them all coming out there. There's the microphone. This is not the first item that goes back in though. Okay, this is the microphone. We've got room to plug that in. So this unit here, the AC unit and heating unit, will go in first. And there's the unit below that. Now this goes on top of these. Make sure nothing is pinched. Now this cover snaps in. Twist the shifter knob back on. Okay, now we have the rear camera input. Remove the little plastic cover on there. This is the actual video. Camera video. We're making the reverse connection now. The purple wire marked reverse input is connected up to the red wire that's the traveling wire coming from the reverse light in the back of the vehicle. And finally, just plug it in. So here we are with everything plugged in. Make note these two are not needed here. They're for auxiliary inputs, but the original radio wires we're not using. It's helpful to have a grabber tool to help you turn the screws in. And you can go to a ratchet. One of the holes didn't line up. It helps to start them farther out, the screws. I've got one that's off far enough. Don't forget these two screws. It's operating, playing through all 4 speakers. Reverse. Backup camera video looks good. Wide angle. Clear. We're not going to test out Bluetooth, Apple Carplay, many of the other features this radio has. We'll let the owner get into that. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe for more useful videos like this.